on something really exciting for me this year. It's a piece that I put together because I had been a model over at the Ringling College of Art Design for about 4 or 5 years. And sitting sometimes nude, sometimes draped, my mind is a monkey mind and would go all over the place, exploring universes and going over lines and poetry and songs and trying to understand the daily ins and outs of life at rapid pace. And while I was sitting there, I often would look over out at the students and wonder what was going in the mind of my mother back in 1942 when she was a student at the Chicago Art Institute. And I sat down and started writing a monologue about the monkey mind of the model, finding it kind of interesting and fun and comical. And then I wanted to write the perspective of an art student. And I interviewed over the 4 years many art students and teachers. And they basically do not think the same way as I do, and I found it quite delicious and entertaining. So I thought, gee, what would my mom be thinking in 1942 if I were a model or anyone? And another piece came out, something more arty in the sense that my mother was a modern dancer, she was a poet, she was a lyricist, she was a playwright, she designed hats, she designed plate designs, she was a Renaissance woman, funny, delightful, and delicious, but full of interesting little mysteries. And as I began to write that piece, it became a dance. It became poetry. The next piece, I discovered I wanted to see what the art had to say, and found that very entertaining that most artists avoid that question at all costs. But I got the answer to that by looking at my mom's art and looking through her poetry. And the next thing I knew, I was weaving her poetry, my poetry, to explain a piece of art that I can't wait to see get painted. So I'm in the process of having someone paint the art, which the audience may never ever have to see because it's described. And in that process, I was curious about the mind of the critic, because they're pretty comical in themselves. And we decided to put everybody in a different world, since time is all kind of happening at once, simultaneous moment kind of thing. So I put the model in 2012. I put the art student in 1942, tribute to my mother. I put the art speaking in 2042, and then in 1912 I put the thoughts of a critic. It was an interesting journey. In the process, I learned some very beautiful things about our creative selves and our mysteries and where the clues of the mysteries really are. In the asking of a question, the answer is right there. It has been a beautiful, heartfelt journey for me, and I think it's going to be surprisingly universal.